I think we're ready. Did you want to come up and, I don't know, introduce or do anything? Okay.
You can introduce yourself, man. It's all you.
Kenneth, you want to start?
Yeah, my name is Kenneth Schaffner. Here with Kendall today. We both work for Vulcraft. It's a open web steel joist manufacturer. So if you're walking through Walmart or Costco or something like that, the secondary roof structures that hold up the roof, all the triangles. That's what we design. I'm a design engineer at the plant. So that's
Welcome. Make sure you grab some Chick-fil-A before you sit down.
spicy and original. So yeah, I've been at Vulcraft for 4 years as a design engineer, and
Where'd you go to school at?
I went to school at South Dakota School of Mines and Technology in Rapid City, South Dakota. So a little ways away, but found Vulcraft at a career fair. And to be honest with you, I didn't know that they even were looking for civils. So I saw a sheet of paper that said civil engineering, and I said, I'll check that out. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Awesome. I'm Kendall Clyde. I also work for Nucor Vulcraft. Me and Kenneth used to be office buddies, kind of across from each other. I started out as a design engineer, what Kenneth is doing right now. I currently work in our Springfield sales office, Springfield, Ohio, as a sales engineer. I went to school at Utah State University, got a degree in civil engineering and then a master's in structural engineering. So yeah, we're excited to be here. Thank you all for coming. We know this is the first one of the year, right?
Yes.
So hopefully you guys like the food, and we appreciate you guys coming and just hearing a little bit about us. We're trying to do some more outreach because, like Kenneth said, I also didn't know that Vulcraft hired civil students. The university I went to happens to have a plant maybe 30 minutes away. And so they do a little bit of recruiting out of our university. That's how I found out about it. But prior to anything, I just had no idea. So we're hoping to spread the word a little bit, let you guys know what we're all about, what we do. By all means, if you got questions during the presentation, feel free to interrupt. And yeah, anyone have any questions to start off? Cool. All right. So yeah, like I said, we work for Nucor Vulcraft. We're going to start out by going into Nucor, a little bit of Nucor's history. I got a little video on that. And then we'll talk about Vulcraft, the specific company that we work for. So Nucor is a steel company. Has anyone heard of Nucor before? Awesome. I was at UD, the University of Dayton, on Monday, had a career fair there. There was maybe like 2 kids I talked to that were 2 students that were like, oh yeah, don't you guys do steel? So don't feel bad that you don't know, because we really suck at letting people know what we do. So that's why we're here. So steel producer, literally anything that has to do with steel. I'm talking structural shapes. I'm talking sheet, plate, bar, rebar, nuts and bolts, grading, guardrails. Out in Utah, they've got a plant that does fence posts for like a lot of the farming community out there.
Steel joists.
They paint them lime green. Yeah, we've got fabricated products like steel joists and deck. We also have a metal buildings division that does prefabricated metal buildings. We've got, anything in the steel industry, we're there. So Nucor is actually the largest steel manufacturer in the United States. And we're a Fortune 150 company, currently ranked Fortune 149 on the list. Over 26,000 employees. I think the number now is about 27 something. And one of the neat things about being the largest steel producer in the United States, when they were trying to figure out how to do it more sustainably and kind of have a better process, because steel companies in general have a bad rap, it gave them the opportunity to be also the largest recycler in the United States. So we're actually the largest recycler as well as the largest steel manufacturer in the United States. So this is a video that doesn't work. So we're going to exit and I'm going to show it to you. But this kind of gives you a general history of kind of Nucor, where they started. It's kind of neat. It shows you some of the steel processes, how they make the steel. I promise it's not 12 minutes long. They, I know, right? They have a bunch of dead space at the end of the video, as someone pointed out in the comments as I was watching this, but
Is that cool if I put the front lights on?
Yeah.
Does it work like that?
One of those just.
okay.
It starts here. And ends up here. It starts here. And ends up here. Steel. It is everywhere in our modern world, providing strength today and ensuring an even stronger tomorrow. And it's made throughout the United States at Nucor's steel recycling facilities. Before the modern era, steel was primarily produced in blast furnaces that use iron ore, mined from the earth, as the primary feedstock. But starting in 1969, Nucor began producing steel using electric arc furnaces to melt down scrap steel and recycle it into new steel. This new generation of steel mill was called the mini mill. No matter the process, making steel is about achieving proper chemistries, and Nucor pursued a more efficient way to achieve those chemistries by recycling the abundant scrap that was piling up in our nation's landfills. Recycling steel using the mini mill model has allowed Nucor to become the largest steelmaker in North America, recycling more than 20 million tons of scrap per year into new products, the equivalent of recycling 24 cars every minute of every day. Our unique teammate-centric culture, combined with aggressive growth and strategic acquisitions, has propelled us from a single mini mill in rural South Carolina to the forefront of American steelmaking. Our acquisition of the David J. Joseph Company, the nation's oldest and largest scrap processor, ensures that we are able to control our raw material supply. And greenfield projects like our direct reduced iron facility in Louisiana mean that we will continue to expand our product offerings and better serve our customers. Nucor now operates more than 200 facilities across North America, offering a complete line of steel and steel products. Before making an ounce of steel, our more than 23,000 teammates start every shift with a safety meeting. Our motto is safety first, and it guides everything we do from start to finish. In the mill, our teammates are focused on taking care of our customers by producing and delivering top quality steel on time, every time. Here's how we do it. Our advanced steel recycling process produces a variety of steel products, including bar, sheet, plate, and SBQ, but they all start in the same place, the scrapyard. In the scrapyard, we sort scrap for recycling. Because different types of scrap have different properties, we carefully combine our scrap so it will recycle into steel matching our customers' specifications. Depending on a customer's specific needs, we sometimes combine our scrap with direct reduced iron, or DRI. Adding DRI allows us to produce more advanced steel products, including our high-strength, lightweight, and special bar quality products. And because our DRI is produced using natural gas, Nucor is making the most environmentally friendly steel on the market. But recycling scrap is only part of Nucor's environmental stewardship. Our mills have extensive environmental programs for both their steelmaking process and the local environment, all designed to ensure that our process is clean and safe. Once sorted, our cranes drop the scrap into our EAF furnaces, which are the driving force behind our steelmaking process. The EAF uses electricity to melt the scrap down to 3,000 degree Fahrenheit molten steel. This process is significantly more energy efficient than traditional steel furnaces. Once melted, the steel's chemistry is refined with various inputs before moving to the caster. At the caster, liquid steel is poured down through molds and cools into long strands as it moves downward. These strands, usually called billets, slabs, or blooms, are trimmed in preparation for rolling and are the first time our steel starts to look like a product. The next step in the steelmaking process takes place in the roll mill. Take, for example, a steel slab in a steel sheet mill. Prior to rolling, slabs are heated to approximately 2,200 degrees Fahrenheit, a temperature at which they are malleable. Then they move on to the rolling mill stands. To reduce a steel slab into a final product requires pressure, a lot of it. As a slab's thickness gets reduced through our rolling mill, thousands of pounds of pressure are applied to each mill stand at speeds of up to 2,000 feet per minute. For example, a 3.5-inch thick, 100-foot-long slab can be transformed into a 1/4-inch thick, 1,300-foot-long coiled sheet in a matter of minutes. After the rolling mill, our products may be treated or finished depending on the final product. This includes pickling, galvanizing, annealing, and a variety of other treatments. Once finished, our steel products are packaged and shipped via barge, rail, and truck to customers across North America. At Nucor, our goal is to take care of our customers, take care of our teammates, and take care of the communities where we live and work. We are doing this while making the best steel in the world for the most important projects in the world, the buildings you work in, the bridges you drive across, and the car that gets you where you're going. Because as an American manufacturer, we live here too, and we know that at the end of the day, the most important thing is getting home safe to the ones you love.
All right. So that's a little bit about Nucor, a little bit of the products that they do. The video showed, they called it an EAF furnace. Does anyone know what that stands for? It's an electric arc furnace. If you ever get the chance to go tour a steel mill and you get to see an electric arc furnace in work, it's probably one of the most incredible things you'll ever see.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, essentially they just they call it dropping a charge, where they drop an electrode into a big vat of scrap steel and additives. And it basically just electrocutes the crap out of it until it turns it into molten steel. And it's super loud and it's banging. I mean, it's like lightning bolts are going off constantly. It's pretty cool.
And being like in the control room with the control panels and everything, and the guy working there or gal working there, it's kind of intimidating to see the process up there.
Yeah.
Controlling.
And depending on the facility, there's someone that has to take the temperature of the steel. Some of them that are kind of older, they have a guy physically out there that's like putting this big old stick in there to test the temperature and pull it out. And he's wearing this big metal suit. Yeah, it's quite the process. So if you ever get a chance, highly recommend.
Another kind of interesting little fun fact, the coils that they showed, I don't know if you saw the truck driving away with one, there was just one on the truck. I remember seeing that, I'm like, man, why did they just got one? That seems fairly inefficient, but each coil is like 50, close to 50 tons?
Yeah, something like that, so 100,000 pounds. So they put one on because the truck literally can only handle that much weight. So yeah, if it looks funny, or you'll see them wrapped, they'll be tarped up, and so it just kind of looks like a big lump in the middle. It's a steel coil, and it probably came from one of our Nucor facilities. So yeah, just to kind of continue on, there's a little bit more about the fact that sustainability is something that we focus heavily on. So as they talked about, and as you saw in the video, we recycle the heck out of steel, and like they said in the video, it's one of the best products to recycle because it basically has like an infinite lifespan, right? You lose a little bit when it rusts, but it's not significant enough, and so you can continually recycled. So that leads us into the Vulcraft Verco group. So that's who myself and Kenneth work for. So we are a sub company of Nucor, and we take Nucor's steel that they make and we produce steel joists and deck. You want to chat a little bit about it?
Yeah, so we have a video coming up here a little bit, but basically we'll take angles from the steel mill and they'll run through our shop and we'll lay down, they call this the top cord and the bottom cord, but essentially just two angles together. And in between them, they'll lay the webbing. So all the members that make up the triangles, those are all angle as well. So we'll crimp the ends of them until they're an inch thick, and then we'll put those between all the angles to make the joist.
Yeah, so that's kind of what we do. We're the largest manufacturer of steel joists in the United States. There is a governing body similar to,
Yeah, I guess.
yeah, like AISC, the American Society, or no, American Steel. I can't think of it now, but those the steel manual that you have, OSHA. We have a group called SJI, which is Steel Joist Institute. So they have code that we have to follow, similar to ASCE 710. All those codes. These are the different locations that we have Vulcraft and Verco plants. So you'll notice our closest location is here in Indiana. It's located in Fort Wayne, Indiana, Northeast Indiana. That's where Kenneth works. And we also have a plant up in Chemung, New York. We've got one in South Carolina, Alabama, Nebraska, Utah, Texas. And then these red dots here are our Verco locations, Southern California and Arizona. Verco does deck only. The Vulcraft plants, apart from the one in Brigham City, Utah, does joist and deck. Brigham City just does joists. They don't have a deck plant. So those are kind of our locations that we have across the country as far as Vulcraft is concerned. Kenneth was explaining this a little bit, but this is a joist in plating terms. Typically, when you think of joist, you probably think of wood joists on a floor in like a house. This is a steel joist. It's got open web. It's an open web concept where your cords, your top and bottom cords, will carry all of the moment, and the web members carry all of the shear. So it makes it very optimal in a lot of building situations because you do have those openings to be able to run stuff through. Here's a couple examples of a few different types of joists. We can do all sorts of shapes and sizes. You've got an arch cord joist there on the left, and you've got a bowstring joist there on the left and an arch cord on the right. We can also do what are called double pitched, right, to just make a hip and gable roof essentially. And then scissored, which is the image above. This is a football practice facility at, I can't remember what university, but they need those scissored so that when they're kicking the football, they're punting the football and whatnot, they've got that open space. So that leads us into kind of our deck products. We also produce deck, so corrugated metal, typically used in roofing, as well as composite floor systems where you'll have like a composite deck with concrete. Have any of you guys taken a concrete class yet? Do you guys ever go over composite design? No? Well, be grateful. Lots of extra steps, but so you've got roof decks, you've got a standard deck and an acoustical deck. So this top one here would be a standard deck. The acoustical deck, and this isn't the greatest image, but it's got these fill, like fiberglass fill that goes into them, and they have holes drilled into them. So if you were in like an auditorium or something, it dampers the sound.
Essentially, like what the deck does too is the joists on their own, if you were to lay them sideways, they're very flimsy. So the out of plane, the lateral stiffness is not there. So when you have them erected and you put the deck on top of them, you're kind of tying them together and giving them that lateral stability so they can't just bend out of plane. And so the joist and the deck together what make up the roof structure or the diaphragm of the building.
We also produce floor deck, which I was talking about. There's a composite and a non-composite. right? So the composite deck here, it gets rolled with these embossments so that it can bond to the concrete, right? So you get that action. It allows you to use the steel as the tension member on the bottom, and then it allows you to use the compression of the concrete on top. And then we also do produce non-composite deck, which is essentially no different than a piece of plywood holding the concrete up until it cures. But it does it a lot better than a piece of plywood. You can span larger spans and whatnot. And then last but not least, we have cellular decks, which is just a fancy deck for architects that want stuff to look pretty. So essentially it's our deck, and then what they do is they slap a piece of sheet plate to the bottom of it so that it's a flat surface. And you can also get those in acoustical, you can get those as composite, you can get those, so it can be floors, it can be roofs, it can be all of the above. All right, so here's the other video. So this video is going to kind of show our process. This is actually shot at our plant. You'll kind of see the guys welding up joists, doing all that kind of stuff. And then once we do that, I know how much time do we have?
15 minutes, just
Okay.
about schedule.
Perfect. We're not going to go over that, I promise.
You guys have any questions so far? Anything?
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
So, all materials are made out of recyclable steel? I mean, all materials are recyclable, or do you ever do like new products?
Like-
steel from
Like ore it out of the mountain and melt
Yeah.
it down? No,
Okay,
nope. And I think I've got a slide that has kind of the percentage of what Vulcraft uses. But as far as Nucor goes, it's like 95% recycled material. They just have additives in there, right? So they'll put lime in, they'll put, different, like the DRI that they were talking about, direct reduced iron, a few other additives to make, hey, I need 50 KSI steel versus 80 KSI steel, or I need it, to get the different properties, whether it's A992 or, whatever type of steel they're trying to produce, they'll add different additives in there. might skip forward here just a little bit, but we've seen enough producing. So once it's all built, it'll get inspected by an inspector. They'll check the welds, they check the member sizes, the thicknesses, and all that stuff. And then it actually gets sent to our paint tank, where they dip it in our primer to get sent out. So right there, he's craning it out of the paint tank. And then obviously once it's done, it gets stacked in our yard. We have some very skilled forklift drivers that go around and they stack the goods, they bundle them together. And then essentially they get put back on a truck and get shipped to the job site. Yes.
How far do they have to travel to give it up to the?
Great question. So I'll go back to this real quick. All right, so these are all our locations, right? So each plant has a geographical region that they service a customer in. So for Indiana, it's basically Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, and Michigan, and a little bit of Kentucky, right? For New York, they cover Pennsylvania, a little bit of West Virginia, basically the whole Northeast. South Carolina covers here. You've got Alabama that covers here, so on and so forth. So it really depends, right? You got Texas. They actually cover parts of New Mexico as well as kind of up into Oklahoma, and it's a lot further. For our plant specifically, the farthest they're going is about 5-6 hours one way. So not very far. But then also you look at Utah. Utah covers Seattle, Washington, which is, call it 9, 10, 12 hours in one direction, or going down to Southern California, you're looking at 12 hours as well.
So that's one advantage for our plant specifically too, is our freight costs are low because they're not having to drive as far.
Yes.
And I was gonna say, and there's a mill nearby, so a lot of times they can do a backhaul, so they'll drive out, deliver the joists, swing down to the steel mill, grab some angles and come back, so it's not a wasted trip.
The only downside is our number one competitor is about 10 minutes down the road from us. So they also have that same competitive advantage. Great question though. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Yeah, so right here, so this is how much recycling we use. So Vulcraft joists, you can see is 97.7% recycled product, right? So really trying to push the envelope as far as sustainability goes. And then for our deck, it's about 72. And the deck is made out of that coil, right, that you saw, and the joists are made out of angle. So this slide is kind of the whole reason why we are here, right? One, we want to let you know about Nucor, but we also want to let you know the opportunities that civil specific students have within Nucor, more specifically within Vulcraft. So I've kind of got them listed up here. I'll let Kenneth talk a little bit about design engineer because that's currently what he's doing. If you want to just share a little bit about what you do. I kind of have a slight explanation, but it's not all that in depth. So
Yeah, I'll try not to get too in depth, I guess, but so my roles would include, designing the joist, running it through our proprietary design software, making sure all the loads are covered, making sure there's no issues with loading configurations or anything like that. As a design engineer, you're also helping out the detailing department. So a job will come in, and our detailing department will essentially take the customer's drawings, the contract drawings, and they'll draw in all of our product, and then they'll detail it into a three-dimensional model. And so when there's loading questions and things like that during approval stage, they be coming to engineering for any loading questions, anything like that, where you may need to contact the engineer of record for the project. And see what exactly they were looking for. That's most of our responsibilities, some of it would be doing repairs for joists. So sometimes, they'll design a joist for one loading scenario, and then down the road, they want to move something on the roof. And so they'll contact us and say, hey, you've got this joist. We want to put a point load here. What do we have to do to accommodate that load? And so we'll go through our design software, come up with a repair solution. So in the field, they can, install some extra angles or some extra rod, throw some extra weld here or there. So that's another big part of what we do.
Yeah, that's the only other big thing. So the neat thing about Vulcraft is you have a production site that's on like right where you're working. So the shop is just out a couple doors from Kenneth's office. So anytime there's issues in the production, they grab the wrong angle size and they happen to weld up a joist, they'll call you out and say, hey, come take a look at this. Are we okay? And so then Kenneth will go back, crunch some numbers and figure out if they're good or not, or if they have to scrap it or whatnot, all that kind of stuff. So the next one down the line is sales engineer. That's what I do. Essentially, it's a design engineer, but on the front end. So we have sales offices in basically every major city. So, how we've got one in Springfield and we've got one in Youngstown. Youngstown covers kind of northeast Ohio. Springfield covers Columbus, Dayton, Cincinnati. We've got one in Detroit, Chicago, Indianapolis. We also have, that's just our division specifically. All the other divisions, Denver, Colorado, Seattle, Washington, Phoenix, Arizona, Atlanta, Georgia. We've got offices all over the place. So as a sales engineer, I take what Kenneth does, I dumb it down because it's for an estimate purpose, right? So I get the contract drawings from the customer saying, hey, we need steel joist and deck on this job from a steel fabricator. And I go in and engineer them on the front end so that we can account for the appropriate amount of steel to use in the product, essentially. So other than that, I do a lot of things like coming out to universities and talking to you guys and interfacing with the engineering community. So that's another big part of my job is going out to the engineering firms and being that joist and deck expert for them. So today alone, I probably got 3 or 4 emails from engineering firms just asking questions. Hey, I've got this situation. How can I handle it? Hey, I've got a question about deck. Can I do this? Or where do I go to find this? That kind of stuff. So that's another role that we hire within Vulcraft. That a lot of times civil students are interested in. One being project management. They handle projects starting from once it's sold all the way until it gets shipped. So they do a lot of they do a lot of interactions with the customers themselves, as well as going to job sites, making sure anytime there's a job site issue, they typically go out onto the job site to take a look at what's going on, kind of report back, figure that kind of stuff out. So yeah, they're able to kind of see the bigger picture of everything and handle the process from start to end. And then we also have detailers, which Kenneth kind of talked about. Engineers tend to help out with the detailers, those that are really big into 3D modeling. They don't use AutoCAD, they use a program called Tekla. And we have a proprietary plugin for that called Voltec that does joist and deck modeling. So the detailer reviews contract drawings and is in contact with the steel fabricator to coordinate all of that. We also have an estimator position, which would be similar to a detailer, but on the sales side. So they are the ones that use software called NewBid, that they also take the contract drawings and they basically draw up the building in NewBid so that we can estimate it appropriately. And then last but not least, we do hire interns and co-ops for the summer that we're always looking for interns and co-ops. One of the neat things about interning with Nucor, specifically, I'm sure you guys are all either from around here or from elsewhere, but if you were to get an intern, for example, working as a design engineer intern at the plant, they do pay for your housing for the summer, because how the heck are we gonna get someone to move to Indiana for a summer if we don't do that? So paid internship, they pay for your travel. We also are looking for interns and co-ops in our sales offices, kind of doing an understudy of the sales engineer, project management, estimating, that kind of stuff. So those are kind of the opportunities we had. Obviously, we wanted to present that to you guys. As you guys are students, you'll probably be looking for those type of opportunities. We wanted to pitch that out there, let you know that that's something that we offer, and we would look forward to, potentially working with some of you in the future if if the steel industry or steel joist and deck is something you're interested in, or if it's not, you know, it's a great company to work for. And I'm not just saying that because I work for them. I interned with them one summer, and I was in Nebraska, and I did not feel like an intern. I felt like part of the team. And so we welcome. That's what pushed me to actually apply to work for Nucor. Was I literally did not feel like the grunt worker, and I was working with our group technical services. They do a lot of programming, that kind of stuff. All of them were PEs, some of them were SEs. They all had master's degrees. I felt like I didn't know anything, but not a single one of them treated me poorly or made me feel like I didn't know what I was doing. And that's part of our culture. So we really try to cultivate that. We've got, you know, we focus hugely on safety and family and whatnot. So it's just something that we are trying to push forward. So I think with all that, is there any questions that anyone has?
I have a funny question.
Yeah.
They mentioned something right at the end of that first video, talking about like annealing or anodizing, but they mentioned pickling. Do you know what that is?
I knew someone was going to ask that because I don't. We've heard it thrown around. They call it pickling plant. I believe what it is it's a chemical treatment to the sheet. So those coils,
Yeah.
you can get those coils in, I think they call it black, which I believe is the pickling process, to where it won't rust, but it's not galvanized. So like it won't rust for a period of time. Similar to like, I don't know how to explain it, but something similar to that. What I will do is I will look it up and I'll shoot you an email.
Okay.
Because it's funny because I would watch the video a couple times this past week as I was putting it in, and I thought, man, someone's gonna ask me about picking. I need to look that up. I just got to.
I thought about it when they said it, like,
Right.
Goes by so fast too.
But yeah,
any questions on like the design engineer role or sales engineer role or?
comments, concerns, complaints.
So do you work out of the Springfield plant then, or where do you work out of?
Yes, so I specifically work out of our Springfield sales office. It's about 40 minutes west of here, 45 depending on the day. Our Springfield office, so it's an outside sales office, so it's fairly small. It only consists of 7 employees currently. There's myself, we have a sales rep, a district sales manager, project manager, we have 2 detailers. We're actually looking for an estimator right now. So typically we would have an estimator in our office as well. Whereas Kenneth working at the plant, there's like 50 office staff and like 300 production workers out in the shop. Yeah.
You guys are gonna be at the career fair, correct?
We sort of are, yes, and thanks for bringing that up. So I tried to get us into the career fair and it filled up, the in-person career fair. So we're actually doing just the online version, which I wanted to let you guys all know. And I told you one thing and we switched it, but we're trying to drum up interest and whatnot. So tell all of your students, anyone that comes and visits us at the online career fair portion will be entered in for a 40-inch smart TV. So we're hoping, you know, we haven't done a great job, Nucor in general, at this recruiting thing. So we're trying to drum up a little bit of interest. So you guys are the only ones that know technically, unless someone's leaked it. But if you come and visit, I will be on there, and Kenneth's boss will be on there as well. If you come and chat with us on our online session, even if it's, hey, just wanted to say hello, you know, because you guys have met me, whatever. We'll enter you in for that drawing. It'll be just like a random name generator, and then I will come up to basically I'll come up here to OSU and drop it off at wherever you guys want it, you know, whether it's at your apartment or in the classroom, I don't know, I can drop it wherever. So
we could put out one of those little robots driving around.
Yeah. So we are doing that. Obviously, like I said at the end, you know, hopefully we can, you know, potentially snag some students, whether it be from here or other universities, to intern with us so we can show them what we do, as well as full-time positions. Currently, we're looking for design engineers as far as full-time positions. If any of you guys are at that stage where you're looking at graduating soon. If not, all our sales offices are looking for interns, as well as they're looking for 2 interns at our plant as design engineer interns. They also are hiring detailers. We're hiring a few estimators. Kind of a lot of stuff's open right now. So just wanted to make that open to you guys. So you can check out the careers that we do have. And then I also brought you guys some, I don't know if you guys ever had these, but these little steel rulers. So everyone can come snag one of these as well.
I got some engineering paper too.
Oh, yes, and we do have engineering paper as well. So yeah, any other questions about Vulcraft, Nucor, opportunities? Yeah.
So the design engineering intern would be at the Indiana plant.
Correct.
Would the sales engineering intern be in the Springfield location?
We are looking for Springfield location, yes. So there's options. If you are like, hey, I want to stay close to home, I don't want to leave, then there is a possibility of the Springfield office. We are hoping to get 1, maybe 2 for the summer. Our other offices, which is in Youngstown, Ohio, it's in a suburb of Detroit, Chicago, and Indianapolis, will also potentially be looking for an intern, so we could have up to 5 or so positions open. If you like to move, you're like, hey, it'd be fun to spend a summer in Indianapolis, or it'd be fun to spend a summer in Detroit. We can make that happen as well. And also, so Vulcraft as a whole, they do kind of a recruiting process to try and get design engineer interns to go to different plants and whatnot. That's where I got recruited. So I was recruited out of Utah, got sent to Nebraska. There is potential opportunity for that. Vulcraft Indiana is kind of going rogue this year and hiring our own interns. But there's always that opportunity that if you're interested in like, hey man, it'd be sweet to go down to Alabama or New York or Utah or Nebraska or Texas. I could get you in contact with those that are doing the hiring process, and I can't guarantee anything, but there's also that kind of a potential opportunity as well. So. Cool.
So, show our appreciation. Thanks for coming out.
Yeah, no, thank you guys for letting us come out. Hopefully the food's good. By all means, take a